Bienvenue sur Beta Série La Radio pour une nouvelle émission Originals dédiée aux séries qui font l'actu. Aujourd'hui, coup de projecteur sur la nouvelle série originale de STARZPLAY, The Attaché, une série touchante et sensible pour laquelle nous avons l'honneur d'interviewer son créateur, réalisateur et acteur principal, Eli Ben David. Thank you to be with us today, Eli.
Hi, how are you?
Cette série de 10 épisodes de 26 minutes raconte l'histoire de Avshalom, un musicien israélien reconnu qui déménage à Paris pour suivre sa femme française, Annabelle, qui devient attachée à l'ambassade d'Israël à Paris. Il va vivre une crise conjugale, une crise d'identité dans cette France au cœur du drame des attaques terroristes du Bataclan. So, Eli, my first question is rather simple. Beyond this story, what was your intention with this series?
Well, it's basically based on my true story. I'm Israeli filmmaker back home in Israel. I used to play drums. I used to be a musician when I was young. My wife, she's a French, like she born and raised in French in Paris and Brussels, and she made Aliyah. She moved when she was a teenager from Paris to Israel, and then she came to me to make a long story short. Hey, man, move your ass. We are moving back to Paris. I'm moving back to my hometown. And you cannot mess with women dreams. So we came, and her dream in some way became some kind of a nightmare for all of us. For me, for my point of view, and this beautiful capital city, romantic city of the world, Paris, becomes some kind of storm, tsunami for me. Otherwise, now I'm living in Paris. I love it. I fall in love with all of you. So there is a good end for it. But yeah, it was very tough and very tornado.
So are you still with your wife then?
I'm still with my wife. I'm still in Paris. She won, man. Woman power.
I won't spoil about the series itself.
Yeah.
Okay. What genre would define the best The Attaché? Is it a drama about the couple life? But it's also quite funny. So isn't it also a comedy? How would you define that?
Well, let me tell you something. It's very, very interesting because when I'm making a satire comedy back home in Israel, okay, not just, but I did a few successful one. And when I brought them The Attaché, they were in shock how serious it is. So for me, I am very shocked because when went outside of Israel and it's become a bit of comedy, whatever, I cannot define it. You know, sometimes it's dramatic, sometimes it's making laugh, sometimes it's agony, sometimes it's depression, desire, like in life. And I think this project is definition is to be anti-dramatic in some way. This is life. Life never finished. It just stopped and started, and that's it. I'm sorry to be this philosophy, but I cannot define it. Seriously, I cannot. I don't know. Maybe this is it.
And you are the author, director, and also the main actor. So how is it possible to manage all these positions? Isn't it too tiring, or does it generate conflict sometimes?
Remy, it's hell. Don't do it. Don't do it. Tell to your all the guys that listen and the women that listening to you now. Don't do it. I will not recommend it. This is recipe to craziness. Well, I was about to write this journey almost as a diary. You know, I put my therapy, and then the broadcaster decided to make a show about it. Hey, come on, you're our creator. Let's make a show about it. It sounds very interesting, ironic, whatever. And then I was started to cast the main lead part. I was like, and the broadcaster, this is serious, this is true. The broadcaster and the production was forcing me to play on it because they said, hey, come on, you bring this ironical, you bring this honesty. And I'm not the charismatic actor in the world. I'm not the not beautiful one, not that good. But at least I hope that I brought some honesty and some true level into it because it's autobiographic, of course.
Yeah, makes sense. When you wrote this series, have you been influenced by specific other TV series or movies, or is it totally personal?
Well, we all get our influence all the time, of course, and it was pretty, it's a very interesting question because usually when you make your autobiography, you write it like with the ears passing by. Okay, you get something, the ears passing by, and then you catch it by your words and shooting. Me, I was dealing with the relocation and wrote it at the same time. It was reflecting, it was almost alive, almost a TV show that you make it once a week. Okay, I have this scene, awkward scene with the principal of my kids in school. I go write it. I go this. It was very echoing reality and life. So for this, this was the process, like the main process of doing this. Um, Other, I'm not sure about the others. Like the influence. I create this TV series with Ori Alon. Ori Alon is a very dear friend of mine. He wrote the series Shtisel. If you heard about that,
Very nice one.
Shtisel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
So I think we always jump to Shtisel, come back here. It was, this was maybe Louis. I saw Louis in that period, Louis C.K., and I loved his cuckoo way of managing his own. Of course, I'm not Louis. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I mentioned my name with Louis, but I saw Louis, so I remember that I said, "Oh, I love it. Maybe I can steal something for, like, use it in some way." Yeah.
There is somehow this kind of one-man show you're doing in this series. It reminds me also a little bit of Reshev Levy in Nehama doing this show, which is almost himself. We discussed that when we met in Berlin last year,
Yeah.
and there are some common points. Maybe it's something Israeli to be able to put all the things together and being so authentic, at the same
Uh,
time.
First of all, Reshev is good. We just spoke today. He's a good friend of mine. I loved him, and I love Nechama, of course. And I think it's Israeli education in some way. You know, uh, once my head of drama in Hot told me something. You know, to make TV series in Israel, it's almost a miracle because there is no money. First of all, there is no money. There is no money to pay everybody. There is no money to pay this and that and this and that and that. And I'm choosing, when she told me while she was visiting here in Paris, she told me I'm choosing a TV series for two reasons. One, story, and the second reason is creator that willing to suffer for telling this story. So uh, it's I'm sure that Resh have told you it's enormous work to be a showrunner, but in some way this is the way we make almost the of the TV series in Israel that succeeds is that you define a strong creator on it, that he is the father and the mother and the sister and the grandfather of the project. Otherwise, you don't have, seriously, you don't have a lot of money to control it all. Like I faced that when I shoot the Attaché here in Paris. It was great because the production here was local, French one, and it was so different way of working in terms of, okay, there is a problem, everybody think about it, control it, let's face it. In Israel we just attack it, we just jump on it because we are yeah, so it's not by choice. I think it's way of education. You want to do a TV show, you need to attack it. That's it.
And recently, we've seen the growth of Israeli series where we discover, in fact, Israel, even with the eyes of the French people, like, for instance, in the TV series Possessions. Here, this is the opposite. You describe France with your eyes of an Israeli, and this is really well done, sharp, funny. How did you manage to avoid the cliche of cultural differences? Did you spend some time to investigate about the way French are reacting, living?
Well, this is a great question. I was expecting this question because nobody did, because you're French, of course, and you are. I was having a lot of fears from how the French gonna take it. And I'm still curious and like have my fears about that, because there is two versions for that. One, that French local people will tell me, hey, it's not happened like that. You exaggerate. It's not like that. We're not like that. But I was focusing all the time with myself that I'm telling a story from Israeli point of view, paranoid, post-traumatic Israeli point of view. And what you see in this project is from my eyes. It's not a reality that's happened, took place in Paris. It's not a reality of Parisian people. And for me now, it's very important because I became Parisian. I'm part of the game. Like I'm almost criticizing myself in this. So I didn't. You ask about research? No, I did my foot research. You know, I wrote this series in the scene, in the sand, and in the streets, and in the marais, and there and that and there. I wrote it. I when I wrote it, I did my shooting. My research is my intimate events that took place, you know, especially with the kids, like when the school, when I saw the sign of the list of the names, when I talked with the principal that didn't know how to speak English, and I don't know how to explain her what my son is suffering from. So this was very echoing situation for me. It was like almost alive to write it.
And you open many themes in this series. Identity, you are famous in Israel and nobody, almost a migrant, you know, in France. Your paternity, integration in a country. What is the most important theme you wanted to explore with this series?
Let me be cliche, Remy. I think it's a bit lost in Paris, bit love story. You know, when I was talking with Ori Elon, the creator of Shtisel, in the first few months, we were walking in Paris and we were looking for the one-liner. What the one-liner of this Bitin project? What we are talking about? Okay, we have a lot of stories and this and that and characters. And sorry to be cliche, but we just not find out, but rediscovered Ne me quitte pas of Jacques Brel. And I was telling him, you know what? I'm too pathetic. I'm here that she will not leave me because I will be like, it's a simple love story. What we need in our life, love. And I was afraid that my wife should become important. She will, I don't know, sleep with her bodyguards or whatever. So I said, okay, I'm willing to suffer, but just don't leave me. I will get lost, but you stay around. So I think this is okay, there is identity as you told, and there is I love the way that you analyze the team. Okay, there is identity and there is this situation and relocation for Paris himself, but it's love story. And you know what? If we are dealing with cliche, it's about threesome, like the French cliche. The French cliche, it's him, her, and the city. She betrayed him with this city. And this is the reason, if you see all of it, I chose to bring this while with the cinematography, I chose to put larger long shot while the episode moving on to see him little in this beautiful monster called Paris with her. So for me, it was, I always said to my DOP, respect this beautiful city because this city is the main character, one of the main. Yeah.
Yeah, probably, as you said, because you have the terrorist attacks and so on. So it's also part of the story. I mean, Paris is playing a role. So no,
Yeah.
it's really great. I'm pretty sure that people will love the way you describe the city. I had many other questions, but we're short of time. So maybe to close this interview, do you have 2 words to recommend the Attaché to our audience?
Wow, 2 words. Maybe you will say it and I will be excited to hear it. I don't know, 2 words. I don't know, man. J'adore. I don't know. I don't 2 words. It's wow. Uh, I don't know. Sorry. Don't know.
Paris. Let's keep up with the Paris ID in a different angle from your point of view.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for this great, interesting conversation, man.
Thank you so much. Congrats again for this series. And for our French audience, I switch back to French. Inscrivez The Attaché dans votre agenda bêta série pour ne rater aucun épisode et rendez-vous très bientôt pour un prochain épisode de Originals sur bêta série, la radio. À très bientôt. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that.